My fiancé threatened to cut ties with me unless I fed his cousin premium bird's nest. Fine. If you won't give it to her, then stop supporting me too. We'll call off the engagement. When I become the top scholar someday, you won't share in my boundless fortune. Perfect. I'll thank him for sparing me the marriage. In my past life, after I funded his path to becoming top scholar, he persecuted my father, demoted me to a concubine, and elevated his cousin to primary wife, driving me to a miserable death. This lifetime, I'd rather feed silver to dogs than support him. Let him dream on. The moment I stepped off the carriage, and Peiyuan confronted me. Su Liyun, why has the monthly silver for my cousin's bird's nest stopped? He lifted his chin arrogantly, demanding, resume the payments with premium snow swallow's nest, or don't expect to see me for days. I tapped my ear. What did you say? Am I some hot commodity? Or do I have such a big face that you crave my company? Still think I'm that love-struck fool from my past life? Sorry. Sis, I've reincarnated and awakened. He frowned. My mother drowned in an accident last year. My cousin saved her. The winter waters were icy cold, and she developed a chronic illness. She needs to eat bird's nest and donkey hide gelatin to replenish her chi. I'll make up this month's payment today, and I'll forgive you this once. Is his forgiveness worth so much? Do I really need it that badly? Ampere Yuan, get your facts straight. Your cousin Wang Shirero saved your mother, not mine. Why should I supply her with bird's nest, top-grade snow bird's nest at that? Do you think my family's silver just blows in with the wind? Or is stupid written on my forehead? Besides, your cousin is strong and healthy, with a rosy, glowing complexion. Does she look like someone with a weak constitution? Are your eyes just for decoration? If they're useless, donate them to charity. He didn't know his mother wasn't saved by Wang Shirero at all. When his mother fell into the lake, it was my coachman who saved her. Wang Shirero just pretended to pace back and forth by the lake, barely getting the hem of her skirt slightly damp. I had urgent business then and told the coachman to drive off first. She stayed behind to put on this grand show of self-sacrificing devotion. And Peiyuan was a mama's boy, growing ever more fond of this distant cousin who'd come seeking refuge with them. Truthfully, they'd already been secretly plotting behind the scenes. But in my past life, I was blind, still believing they shared a deep sibling bond. I could slap myself for falling for such a worthless piece of trash back then. Wang Shirero's face darkened. She forced herself to calm down and began performing a tea ceremony. Su Liyun, does having money give you the right to be so arrogant? My cousin's mother is your future mother-in-law, equivalent to your own mother. I saved her. Yet you show no gratitude. You're nothing but a modern-day Mr. Donghua. A few bites of your family's bird's nest, and you humiliate us with such vile words. Cousin, I won't eat anymore. I'll never eat again. Being falsely accused is one thing, but dragging you into her insults, trampling your dignity underfoot, that's unforgivable. She may not care about you, but I do. Wang Shirero finished her tearful speech, casting a lingering, affectionate glance at Peiyuan. Veins pulsed fiercely on Peiyuan's normally composed forehead. Gritting his teeth, he declared, Fine, Su Liyun. If you won't give it, then don't support me either. I'm a kind-hearted man, I'll grant his wish. Today I'll inform the academy to suspend his tuition. We're off the hook. When I become the top scholar someday, you won't share in that heavenly fortune either. Excellent. I'll thank him for sparing me the marriage. In my past life, I encountered the destitute and Peiyuan being humiliated on the street, awed by his talent and pitying his unrecognized gifts. I provided him and his mother with housing, enrolled him in the finest academy, and encouraged him to pursue the imperial examinations. Fearing I might wound his scholar's pride, I secretly paid his tuition fees. To his face. I deceived him, claiming the headmaster was desperate for talent and had waived the fees. Little did I know he possessed talent but no virtue. After becoming the top scholar, he reported my father for smuggling salt to prove his loyalty to the emperor, leading to the confiscation of our entire family fortune. Yet he was promoted 3 ranks, demoted me to a concubine, and elevated my cousin to his wife. Compounded by my mother-in-law's cruelty, I wasted away in despair. Heaven had mercy, granting me rebirth. This time, I'd rather spend my silver on dogs than support him. Let him dream on. I slapped my thigh and gave him a thumbs up. Excellent! Scholarin. You have true backbone. Words alone aren't proof. Shall we draw up a written agreement? My maid, Xiao Shi, was quick-witted and immediately fetched ink, brush, paper, and inkstone. After pressing his seal onto the contract dissolving our betrothal, and Peiyuan lifted his rigid jawline. Are you trying to force my attention by feigning retreat? How shallow. Today I sign this annulment. Should you ever wish to beg me back, it will be harder than ascending to the heavens. I was so infuriated I laughed. Do you really think I still care for you? Where does he get such confidence to think that? Xiao Shi urged me. Miss, please sign quickly. I shook my head. No rush. And Peiyuan wore a smug expression. Can't bear to sign. Huh? You're just stubborn. Don't you see what Xiao Shi is holding? I lowered my gaze. Oh. It was locust flower cake from Peiyuan's favorite shop. Today's locust flower cakes were indeed bought for him. But sorry. After buying them, I reincarnated. And Peiyuan stood with his hands behind his back, chin held high. Even if you begged me for these cakes today, I wouldn't give them. I, and Peiyuan, am not a man to be trifled with. Like hell you would. I smiled faintly. Mr. Scholarin, you've misunderstood. These cakes were meant for the dog. And Peiyuan froze, his expression darkening. Su Liyun, you're stubborn. I won't see you again this month. That's your punishment. With that, he pulled Wang Shuero away and strode off. I nearly burst out laughing. I'd be grateful for his punishment. Throwing away the locust flower cake would be wasteful. But I didn't want to bring it into the mansion and cause trouble. Suddenly, I spotted a ragged youth crouched in the corner. Here. Take it. It tastes pretty good. The youth didn't even lift his eyelids. His voice hoarse. No thanks. You're feeding dogs. Huh. He heard me. I gave up and started to walk back. Unexpectedly, the youth glanced up and met my gaze. My heartstrings trembled. I nearly knelt down. Earlier, I hadn't ordered the guards to beat Peiyuan senseless. It was because I feared he might one day return to officialdom and seek revenge. After all, business rivals can't match official power. And this man holds grudges. That's why I hadn't noticed this gentleman. How about I take care of you? I blurted out to the young man. To my surprise, he lifted his eyelids, his eyes sparkling. What's the condition? My hand trembled as I wrote down the terms. At that time, he was just a down-and-out commoner. But one day he would become a dragon among men. With a flourish, I finished writing, signed my name, and welcomed this great Buddha into my household. Only then did my heart settle. From that day on, I feared Peiyuan no more. That evening, feeling light-hearted, I took Xiaoxi to the Immortal View Pavilion for a few drinks. We ordered the signature dish, golden drunken pigeon, which the proprietor claimed was the last serving available that day. As it arrived at our table, Xiaoxi's eyes lit up with delight. Ready to dig in. Bring this table over. It's my cousin's birthday today. And she specifically requested this dish. And Peiyuan's voice rang out. cold as ice. What a small world. Turns out the next table was occupied by Pei Yuan and his cronies, with Wang Xuero sitting prominently among them. Wang Xuero dabbed her lips with a handkerchief. My cousin says he hasn't seen Su Liyun in a month. Yet she still follows him to the restaurant. Her face is thicker than city walls. And Pei Yuan remained silent. I laughed, pressing my hand to my forehead. What the hell? Stealing like this so brazenly? Haven't they eaten in ages? And Pei Yuan approached, lowering his voice. Su Liyun, why are you shouting so loudly out here? Utterly uncouth. Not a shred of a lady's reserve. You eat this dish often enough. Today is my cousin's birthday, what harm is there in letting her have it once? And as for your sharp tongue? Before I could respond, the shopkeeper spoke first. Mr. N. This dish uses precious ingredients. It costs 200 taels of silver per serving. 200 taels? That's expensive. Only a wealthy family like ours can afford to eat it regularly. And Pei Yuan, ever concerned with saving face, wasn't actually unable to afford it. He could afford it, because it was all charged to my account. His group of brothers clicked their tongues in admiration, egging him on. Brother Pei Yuan, today we should get to taste the signature dish, right? Wang Xuero also chimed in with a sweet, coquettish voice. Cousin, I want to eat it. Caught between a rock and a hard place. And Pei Yuan firmly ordered the waiter to bring it to his table. Seeing my lack of reaction, a hint of satisfaction flashed across his face. His buddies teased him with grins. You just had the signature dish brought over like that, aren't you going to invite Miss Su to join us? And Pei Yuan frowned. No need. Don't spoil the ladies. In his previous life, with my financial backing, and Pei Yuan was flush with cash and generous to his crew, they fawned over him daily. Brother Pei Yuan, you're the man. You've got Miss Su wrapped around your finger. Brother Pei Yuan's right. What business does a woman have with so many opinions? If she won't listen to her man, who will she listen to? If you ask me, Miss Xuero is quite lovely too. Brother Pei Yuan will be blessed, a beautiful wife and a lovely concubine, enjoying the best of both worlds. Wang Xuero pouted playfully. Pa, who wants to be a concubine? And Pei Yuan's eyes darkened. This lifetime, I won't let you be a concubine. Wang Xuero froze, her beautiful eyes brimming with tears. What a perfect pair. My heart skipped a beat. Ever since Pei Yuan appeared at my doorstep this morning, I'd been certain he'd one day become the top scholar. And now, with his mention of this lifetime, it wasn't hard to guess, he must have been reborn too. Xiao Shi couldn't stand it anymore. Hey, you lot at the next table. Our young mistress and that fellow aren't betrothed anymore. We're no longer in each other's way. You've stuffed yourselves silly. Yet your mouths still won't shut. You spout nonsense like there's no tomorrow. Do you think you're the rain god? Everyone froze. And Pei Yuan smiled calmly. In a few days, she'll be begging me to take her back. This is called feigning disinterest to draw her in. Wang Xuero smiled gently. Indeed. A merchant's daughter, unlike me, who maintains decorum. She's always been fond of clinging to my cousin. Xiao Shi was furious tonight. Probably because someone snatched her pigeon, leaving her unsatisfied. My young mistress was blind, heartless, and brainless to have ever set her sights on. I coughed violently. Xiao Shi amended herself, that Wang girl isn't anything special. She's always clinging to my cousin, calling him cousin this and cousin that. What's the big deal? Look at her. The only woman sitting among all these men, acting all prim and proper. Doesn't she have any self-respect? She really wants to have her cake and eat it too. I gave Xiao Shi a thumbs up. Wang Xuero's face darkened. Throughout the meal, she demanded whatever I ordered, snatching items not available. Take it. Take it all. Don't be shy, I replied, feigning extreme docility. Glancing over, I estimated their tab at around 500 taels of silver, enough to cover an ordinary family's annual expenses with leftover. After feasting, I hopped into the carriage to return home. Unexpectedly, and Pei Yuan blocked the carriage. Furious. Why wasn't my table included in the bill? Xiao Shi and I were stunned. We didn't eat there. Why should we pay for you? He frowned. But you always covered it before. Or charged it to your account. I was speechless. You know it was before? Does that matter now? Do I look like some idiot who enjoys footing other people's bills? The innkeeper urged him to pay from behind. And in Pei Yuan grew irritable. Su Liyun. Stop acting up. I'm losing patience. Then I'll revoke this month's punishment of not letting you see me. Is that acceptable? Even my coachman couldn't bear to listen anymore. Miss. Hold on tight. The coachman pulled tight on the reins. And the carriage shot forward. Dust kicked up by the hoofs splattered all over in Pei Yuan's face. Even after they were far away, the coachman still looked as if he'd swallowed a fly. Listening to that would make even a horse vomit. Shortly after arriving home, and Pei Yuan stormed over in a rage. Following close behind was his dear cousin, Wang Shuero, standing beneath the flower trellis in his deep blue robe, and Pei Yuan's complexion appeared almost jade-like. No wonder my past self, Wang Shuero, and later the princess all fell for him. Pfft! How shallow. I glanced a few extra times at Yunishi. Who was playing chess with me? Washing my eyes clean. He was the true peerless beauty of this world. Yuni, the one I picked up and took in last time near my home. Give him a good scrub, and he'd outshine in Pei Yuan by a mile. And Pei Yuan snapped. Su Liyun. Is your driver rushing to be reincarnated? His horse's hooves kicked dust all over me. How unlucky. You don't discipline your servants properly, it's like the upper beam is crooked. So the lower beam follows suit. I pressed my hand to my forehead. You're right. And Pei Yuan's expression softened. The driver was summoned over promptly. I scolded him sternly. How dare you serve as my driver? With such impressive driving skills. Go collect 10 taels of silver as a reward from the steward. Head home early today to feast and reflect on your actions. A flicker of gratitude passed through the driver's eyes. And Pei Yuan growled under his breath. How long do you plan to keep this up? My patience has its limits. Only then did he seem to notice Yuni. And where did you find this pretty boy? Are you deliberately trying to provoke me? Yunyi's eyes darkened momentarily before a smirk touched his lips. And who might this gentleman be? We seem to have developed an unexpected rapport. I replied. He's the gentleman who preceded you. Yunyi's gaze turned sly. Oh. The ex-husband. The predecessor. My apologies. My apologies. I shook my head. What disrespect. He's mediocre inside and out, nothing worthy of your respect. And Pei Yuan's face turned green. Then black. Then green again. Wang Shuero adopted a protective stance. Su Liyun. You're shameless. Such words are an insult to civility. My cousin is the future top scholar, how could your pretty boy compare? Champion this. Champion that, is the top scholar title sold for 9 silver coins with free shipping? Is it so worthless that it just happens to land in your lap? Xiao Shi refused to be outdone. Likely still fuming over missing tonight's pigeon feast. And Pei Yuan shook his head. No point arguing with fools. Wang Shuero straightened her back. What would a mere maid know? My cousin is highly regarded by the headmaster of Hans Han Academy. Students favored by the headmaster are potential top-tier scholars. He even waives my cousin's tuition fees every year, an honor not granted to just anyone. A flash of pride crossed in Pei Yuan's face. His jawline growing even more rigid. Xiao Shi crossed her arms. Oh. If I were to casually mention that Miss Sin has been covering Scholar Anne's tuition fees all these years. Might that hurt your pride a little? And Peiyuan chuckled. Indeed. Your mistress has good taste. Xiaoxi rolled her eyes. My mistress has taste. But not much of it. She stopped paying just the other day. The moment he heard the tuition had stopped, no small sum, and Peiyuan's face darkened instantly. Su Liyun. This behavior of yours is pure jealousy. You're just trying to force me to turn around and appease you. But I'm not in the mood today. First, hand over the bill for the Wangxian Pavilion and tomorrow's tuition. Then I might consider it. Me. Yuni. Xiaoxi, our expressions were perfectly synchronized as we stared at Peiyuan like he was a complete fool. Wang Shirero started seeking attention again. If you hadn't refused to pay, would my cousin have had to lower himself to ask the shopkeeper for credit? Where has he ever endured such humiliation? Especially on my birthday? Oh. The real point is ruining her birthday banquet. And Peiyuan soothed her softly. Shirero. Don't cry. It's my fault you didn't have a good birthday. It's not your cousin's fault. Nor yours. Blame Su Liyun for her narrow-mindedness and humiliating you. She still hasn't shown any remorse. Yuni shot me a glance. As if to say, are these two missing a few marbles? My head hurts. My house isn't a stage. Stop putting on a show in front of me. And Peiyuan shot me a dark, menacing look. How did you turn into this person? After marrying me in my past life. His career soared. After my family went bankrupt. His chauvinism only grew worse. Accustomed to bossing people around at home, he couldn't shake that habit even after reincarnating. That's why he stubbornly believed I was still part of his family, that what was mine should be his. I frowned. Had he somehow discovered my rebirth too? And Peiyuan narrowed his eyes and studied me for a long moment. Su Liyun. This is love turned to hate. Your perspective is far too narrow. Oh. So that's what he meant. False alarm. I laughed in exasperation. Love my ass. Butler. Lock the door and let the dogs out to escort our guest. And Peiyuan's gaze lingered between me and Yuni, filled with extreme displeasure. The inherent flaw in men, he can choose not to love you. He can have multiple wives and concubines. But once he labels a woman as his property, she must revolve around him. The universe must revolve around him, that's their mysteriously confident possessiveness. Wang Shirero's artificial parrot kicked in. How is this pretty boy any better than my cousin? She expected me to list all my cousin's flaws. Men care about face, he get angry and resentful. Blaming me. That's exactly what she wanted. You can't blame her, people have different pursuits. She craves clinging to a man. Surviving on that cheap affection. I'm different. With money and freedom. Why would I covet the empty title of a top scholar's wife? Especially when he's just a rotten cucumber. I smiled. Ah. You're inexperienced. You won't know what's good until you try it. How could you understand just from my words? My gaze deliberately roamed over Yuni. Up and down. Mirroring the expressions of Peiyuan's shady friends when they ogled pretty girls on the street. Yuni froze. His ears turning slightly red. His eyes seemed to say, so this is the kind of person you are. Su Liyun. Wang Shirero spat. Shameless. And Peiyuan's face tightened. Frivolous. Even now. He clung to his damn, pathetic pride. Su Liyun. I know you admire my writing. Revere my talent. I stayed up countless nights composing poems for you. What has this pretty boy ever done for you? He clearly wanted to play the emotional card. But his words practically begged to be slapped. And honestly, I can't stand men dredging up the past. Oh. I was almost moved by you. You think I'm uneducated? How many poems from the Book of Songs and the Songs of Chu are hidden in there? You could copy someone else's poetry all night long. But when it came to your imperial exams, could you even finish writing your essay? This time, the steward didn't need to chase him away. and Peiyuan was driven off by his own rage. He and Wang Shuero were strutting so arrogantly they stumbled over my doorstep, kicking off a splinter of wood. The steward narrowed his eyes, picked up his brush, and recorded, "Premium pinewood. Compensation, 10 taels of silver for repairs." And Peiyuan and Wang Shuero vanished as if riding windfire wheels. I thought Peiyuan would finally back off. After all, scraping together that silver would keep him busy for quite some time. But a few days later, as I passed through East Street collecting debts and had Xiaoshu buy a stuffed duck, I was suddenly yanked into an alleyway. And Peiyuan stared at me. "No wonder you've changed so much lately, Su Liyun. If I recall correctly, at this time in your life, you didn't even know what the Book of Songs or the Songs of Chu were." That's right. In my past life, my father only prospered in middle age. As a child, I had no money for schooling. As I grew older, I was busy helping him with the business, running errands and managing affairs. I only knew a few words from the ledgers. That's why I admired strength. Why I was obsessed with scholars. What I lacked, I longed to possess. That's why I treasured the poems he generously gifted me. After our marriage, Peiyuan feared my public appearances would tarnish his reputation. It was only during my idle hours at home that I picked up books again to study. Though Peiyuan lacked emotional intelligence, he was, after all, a former top-ranked scholar. Intelligence, occasionally, was not entirely absent. "So, Ayun, you've reincarnated too, right?" I sneered. "Don't call me that. We're no longer connected." He scoffed. "Whether we're connected is for me to decide." "Oh, and the salt inspector will arrive in a few days. I have detailed ledgers documenting your father's illicit salt trade. Smuggling salt was a capital offense in our dynasty. So Peiyuan had been laying this trap from the very beginning. It was only because I was blind in my past life, utterly devoted to him, that he hadn't exploited this weakness earlier." He stared at me unwaveringly, his narcissism flaring up again. "You hate me now because you love me, right? Blaming me for demoting you to a concubine last lifetime? That was unavoidable. Your father broke the law. How could I let you remain his legitimate wife? Would I have no face left? This time, I promise not to report your father. As long as you obey me." I suppressed my disgust. "What do you want me to do? I'll give you a chance to continue supporting me. After I pass the imperial exams, I'll elevate you to a noble concubine. You won't need to run the business anymore. It's more appropriate to register your family's assets under my name. A woman appearing in public all day is disgraceful. Stay home and care for your mother-in-law. My mother has trouble walking. Soak her feet daily and massage them yourself. Don't repeat your past mistakes. Stop provoking her. When she throws tantrums, endure her scolding and beatings. She's old now. How much pain could a few slaps really cause? Don't defy her. Bear me more children, sons. Specifically, my mother adores grandsons. While you're still young, give birth to one each year. Not too many, 4 or 5 will suffice. The sons will be registered under Shuero's name. She is, after all, the legitimate wife. Propriety must be upheld. You may raise the daughters yourself." And this nonsense was an insult to my ears. I cut him off immediately. "Don't even start. Even tofu has brains, you really don't? Do you even hear yourself talking?" He curved his lips into a smile. "That's not for you to decide." Peiyuan slowly closed in on me. The alley was a dead end, silent and deserted. What? He intends to force himself on me? Using that vulgar, outdated tactic of ruining a woman's reputation? I raised my knee slightly. "Then don't blame me for crippling you." Unexpectedly, he halted just a fist's length away. Then he began undoing his own belt, pulling at his outer robe. Was he trying to seduce me? Painfully awkward. Truly painful. That scrawny frame? How could it compare to Yunyi's rock-hard abs? The eyes. Like the mouth. Once they've tasted rare delicacies. Can't stomach coarse gruel. I recalled when I first took Yunyi back to the mansion and told him to bathe. I'd just turned to hand him his clothes when he stripped faster than I could blink. Back then, I was forced to see his lean abs and deep V-line. And I shamefully got a nosebleed. Wiping the blood, I gave him a stern lecture. Yunyi. A boy must protect himself out there. Just bathe, why strip naked? Yunyi looked utterly bewildered. As long as I wasn't embarrassed. And someone else was. I strode out of the room with righteous indignation. Thinking back now, my face still flushes. And Peiyuan thought I was captivated by his looks. He smirked smugly, raised his chin, and thrust his arm toward me. Blushing? Knew you were lusting after my good looks. Dream on, I won't let you have your way so easily. My ass is beautiful. Get away from me. Your breath reeks of last night's leek and egg stir-fry. He held his belt in one hand while rubbing his chin with the other. Edging closer. My knee was poised to strike. Ready to deliver a crushing blow that would leave him unable to produce offspring. Make him unfit to be a top scholar. But perhaps a eunuch would suit him. But then, with a wicked, devilish grin, he turned and strode swiftly away. Huh? What's this all about? I stared at him as if he were some unsolved mystery of the world. Only when he reached the alley entrance did Peiyuan begin fastening his sash and adjusting his outer robe. His face wore a flustered expression. As if to say, regardless of whether you have business or not. We certainly had business in this alley. To the people at the street corner, seeing a man and woman alone together in an alley, both disheveled, the implications were obvious. In broad daylight? How dare they? Thrilling. Young people these days sure know how to have fun. A scholar like Mr. N, a man of integrity, must have been seduced by Su Liyun. Pfft. A merchant's daughter? She's long since lost her virtue. Hey, you don't get it. Do you? She can handle those big shots in business? She traded her body for it. Especially my business rivals. Unable to beat me in trade, they resort to insulting women to save face with their trash talk. Gossip mongers love spinning half-truths as if they were the whole story. And Peiyuan truly is a master of stream of consciousness acting. Had he forced himself on me just now, my screams would have drawn passers-by, too risky. But emerging this way, silent and half-exposed, stirs far more imagination. And Peiyuan played a ruthless hand, determined to ruin my reputation forever. I glanced toward the upstairs window of the herbalist shop at the alley entrance, a flash of crimson sleeves swept past. Thankfully, one person witnessed the truth. Sure enough, the next day Peiyuan arrived empty-handed to propose marriage. I had the steward shoo him away with a broom. He merely brushed off his outer robe. Look at this, he declared. Some women just can't be satisfied. I took responsibility for her. Yet she treats me like this. The bewildered onlookers murmured among themselves. Indeed, they whispered. What is Miss Su thinking? After what happened yesterday, if she won't marry Scholarin, who will she marry? Who dare want her now? She disregards feminine virtue. Defiled before marriage. A merchant's daughter like her is only good for a fling. At least Scholarin showed some backbone. Leading the jeers was Eremizi, the pancake seller from East Street. He twisted his mouth. Well then, I'll reluctantly marry her myself. The crowd roared with laughter. She won't even have Scholarin. What makes you think she'd look at a deformed melon like you? Eremizi sneered. At least I'm a virgin. Su Liyun's a big slut, what's she being picky about? His teeth flashed as he laughed. The fleshy folds on his face quivering. And Peiyuan stood hands behind his back. Calm and composed. It was obvious Ermizy was the ringleader he paid to stir up trouble. I yanked off my shoe and smacked Ermizy's face hard 4 or 5 times in quick succession. The crowd instantly fell silent as chickens. Ermizy's cheeks swelled rapidly. You know how you're gonna die? What? The hell? He covered his face in confusion. His words muffled. You died from talking too much. Su Layun. You poisonous bitch. I'm going to report you to the authorities. I shouted loudly. Anyone who saw Ermizy get beaten, go to Shaoxi and collect 10 taels of silver. The onlookers collectively turned a blind eye. Ermizy swelled his own face. What did Miss Guan have to do with it? Where's Ermizy? I didn't see him. Did you? Are you kidding? Why would I look at that unlucky thing? My eyes are only for silver. Ermizy glared at me, seething but silent. And Peiyuan sneered. What good does your anger do? If you won't marry me, who else would you marry? After all, we were perfectly matched in that alleyway. Mutant toad eyes. I'll report you for defaming my honor. The female coroner can verify my purity. If any charges stick, you can kiss this year's imperial exams goodbye. One more word, and I won't hesitate to break his third leg. And Peiyuan drew closer, his voice low. So what if she verifies it? Yesterday, we were completely undressed, exposed to each other. We were more than husband and wife. I hold the final word on this. Even if you're a virgin, how will you defend yourself against the rumors? I sneered. You think people will believe your word? And Peiyuan laughed lightly, deliberately raising his voice. Su Layun. The plum blossom birthmark on your chest is the proof. A plum blossom birthmark can only be seen when one's clothes are removed. My fingertips dug into my flesh. In my past life, he and I were husband and wife. Of course he knew about this. If I told people we were reborn, who would believe me? Even if they did, we'd be seized as demons. And Peiyuan was certain I couldn't turn the situation around. Shaoxi stood by, tears streaming down her face. That foolish girl. In my past life, my liver qi stagnated, leading to consumption. Everyone shunned me like a plague, but only Shaoxi stayed by my side, tending to me with all her heart. And Peiyuan's mother, my mother-in-law, had always disliked me. She bullied me while I lay sick in bed and took her anger out on Shaoxi, selling her into the brothel. The little glutton refused to serve customers even when starving, wasting away to skin and bones with sunken eyes. When a fire broke out in the brothel, she crawled through a dog hole to find me. As she fed me congee after days of hunger, she wept. Miss, you're as thin as paper. Truthfully, she was even thinner than me. I struggled to my feet, begging my mother-in-law to spare Shaoxi and kowtowing to her. My forehead split open, blood smearing my eyes. Yet she remained cold-faced as she ordered the brothel men to seize Shaoxi back. I begged in Peiyuan, but he merely said indifferently, a worthless life, sold is sold. After her return, the madam ordered servants to stuff a cat into Xiaoxi's trouser leg, tie it tight, and beat the animal with a thick stick. The cat scrambled frantically inside, its sharp claws torturing Xiaoxi nearly to death. Unable to bear the agony, she leapt from the upper floor. My thoughts snapped back. I wiped Shaoxi's tears. Don't cry. We're not that fragile in this life. And Peiyuan brushed his sleeves, ordering his steward to prepare ample silver, wearing the smug look of a petty victor. I told you days ago, my patience has limits. You refused to listen. Didn't you? Are you satisfied with this mess? I smiled. Only by grasping fate in our own hands can we make flowers bloom from our palms. Someone told me that in my past life. And this time, I've remembered it well. And Peiyuan, do you think no one saw the truth? Yesterday, from the attic at the alley entrance, someone witnessed the entire scene. A flicker of panic, barely perceptible, crossed in Peiyuan's eyes. Impossible. I called out loudly. Wang Shuero, come forward and tell your side. At the mention of Wang Shuero's name, and Peiyuan's expression instantly relaxed. He smiled. Su Liyun. Shuero is my cousin. But his relief was premature. Wang Shuero stepped forward, fingering her handkerchief. This is Scholar Anne's cousin, right? Did Su Liyun bring her to testify? Even if she testifies, it'll be false. Probably bribed by Su Liyun. Wang Shuero hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and took the plunge. Yesterday, I was in the corner tower and saw my cousin and her behaving appropriately. Su Liyun is completely innocent. Her words rang out clearly. I was relieved she'd finally seen the light. Yesterday, Wang Shuero took the bird's nest I'd previously supplied her to sell privately. By chance, she saw her cousin pull me into an alleyway. She crouched low, hiding on the attic, watching for quite some time. The onlookers were right, Wang Shuero really had been bribed by me. Yesterday, I made a blunt deal with her, 100,000 taels of silver in exchange. The stack of banknotes slammed onto the table, making her heart tremble. When necessary, just tell the truth. Su Liyun. Why on earth would I, Wang Shuero, listen to you? Because of my 100,000 taels of silver. What man can rival the scent of money? A woman who pretends to eat bird's nest, then secretly sells it to herbalists, stashing the profits in money houses without anyone noticing. Wang Shuero isn't exactly a saint either. While Peiyuan's been swamped with silver troubles lately, she hasn't lifted a finger to help. Seems their bond isn't as deep as I imagined. I gave her a piece of advice: men are never reliable. Clinging to one like a daughter vine is never a wise move. If you know how to fleece me for small favors, why not go for a bigger haul? Wang Shuero froze, her eyes misting over. When I was most isolated and helpless, my cousin brought me home, fed me, clothed me. In my eyes, he's the man who's been best to me. I chuckled. Sis, you just haven't seen enough men yet. Don't look at what he can give you now, look at what he can give you when he has something. That's what truly matters. Wang Shuero looked utterly confused. I continued my brainwashing, analysis. With my financial backing, he's got food and shelter covered. What's feeding one more mouth? It's like scooping a ladle of water from a lake. But when he's got only a penny left, only a ladle of water, if he still chooses to give you that, that's true devotion. Wang Shuero still looked bewildered. I upped the ante. Do you really enjoy washing that old hag's stinky feet every day? And Peiyuan's mother made Wang Shuero tend to her feet daily, flaunting her status as the matriarch. What a disgusting habit that old woman has. Wang Shuero furrowed her delicate brows. I coaxed her gently, taking her hands in mine. How can hands like these be used to wash stinky feet? They should be playing music, painting pictures, sipping tea. Hands are a woman's second skin. You know? Using your own skin to rub against someone else's feet? What a waste. I deliberately brushed her fingertips. Oh my. Such delicate hands, yet the calluses are thick as tree bark. TSK TSK TSK. Even my little Cece does hand masks, don't you? Cece doing hand masks? That's ridiculous. I don't either. We value natural beauty. I sighed dramatically, my expression as sorrowful as if she'd disfigured herself. If she's like this before marriage, imagine after, enduring daily grindings from the old hag. Life will be more bitter than yellow gentian. Wang Shuero abruptly withdrew her hand, biting her lower lip with her pearly teeth. A love for beauty truly is a woman's nature. The crowd erupted in commotion. Wang Shuero had always been my sworn enemy, and she was also Peiyuan's own cousin. By all logic, She would never speak up for me. Public opinion was overwhelmingly against her. How utterly despicable. Scholarin must have shattered his abacus beads in rage. Scholarin was madly obsessed with marrying the richest man's daughter. Such slanderers should be reported to the authorities. Cut out his tongue and his cucumber. And Peiyuan seethed with fury, yet suppressed his anger, feigning deep sorrow. Shuero, is this how you love me? I was determined to make you my legitimate wife. And this is how you treat me? Why? Xiaoxi stood with hands on hips, laughing. Why? There's no need for so many whys. This is the truth. After all, it's not like my young mistress forced her to say it. My head is spinning. Xiaoxi is such a jinx, whatever she says comes true. Wang Shuero suddenly smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Su Liyun, did you really think I'd just listen to you? How could 100,000 tales of silver compare to the glory of being the wife of the top scholar? Cousin, everything I said today, Su Liyun forced me to say. She told me not to trust men, but I didn't listen to her. See? I'm good to you, right? And Peiyuan gazed deeply at Wang Shuero. Cousin, I won't let you down. Xiaoxi trembled with rage. Wang Shuero's love-struck brain is beyond saving. This betrayal? You've played it perfectly. I gazed into the distance. The sun had retreated behind clouds. Yet faint light lingered. Xiaoxi, don't be angry. Everyone has their own path. Miss, it's over. Only when Peiyuan personally admits your innocence will this truly end. I smiled. Then let him admit it himself. Xiaoxi, what did you say? I asked Peiyuan softly. In this new life, are you truly content to live as husband and concubine with Wang Shuero and me? And Peiyuan frowned at me. Have you forgotten the past life? After you topped the imperial exams, the princess's fleeting glance at you in the golden hall. The princess, young and beautiful, was captivated by the top scholar, a rare sight of both fine looks and learning. But she held firm to her principles, no marriage to a married man, no matter how outstanding, and certainly no second wife. After returning home that day, Peiyuan was gloomy for a while. Having missed his chance to become a prince consort, he spent his days at home taking it out on the chickens and dogs. Peiyuan laughed. What difference does it make? I'll simply take you as a concubine. The position of wife remains vacant. I smiled too. Peiyuan, on the contract dissolving our betrothal, only your signature appears. I never signed. In this dynasty, dissolving a betrothal requires signatures from both parties to be valid. In other words, on the marriage contract, I remain his future legitimate wife. Peiyuan frowned and fell silent. I knew he was calculating how to maximize his advantage. I could sign the annulment papers. I could even help you marry the princess. Peiyuan scrutinized me. Why? I pointed angrily at Wang Shuero. That bitch! Why should she be the wife and I the concubine? I refuse to accept this. I'm the kind of person who picks out the biggest peanuts to eat. How could I possibly swallow this humiliation? If the princess were the main wife and I the concubine, I could accept it. Xiaoxi stared in disbelief. Miss, have you lost your mind? Has your love-struck brain grown back? You want to be his concubine? Peiyuan's lips curved into a smirk. I knew it. How could you not like me? To go through all this trouble. Some women are just so pathetic. Just then, a squadron of officers arrived to clear the way. Silence! Stand aside! The princess's imperial carriage will arrive at the Su residence shortly. Everyone gasped. What was happening? I smiled. The princess is touring the city. I'm honored she chose our Su residence as her lodging. The Su family was the wealthiest in the city, with exquisite and spacious courtyards. It made sense for the princess to rest here during her travels. Securing such a distinguished guest was all thanks to Yuni. Faced with this situation, and Peiyuan grew impatient. Su Liyun, sign the annulment agreement. I promise to make Shirero your concubine. I feigned regret. What good would signing do? Now that we've shared physical intimacy, gossip will spread. The princess will surely mind. You've compromised your virtue before marriage. The princess isn't like ordinary women. Throughout history, every imperial consort has been pure and chaste. A princess wouldn't want a rotten cucumber. And Peiyuan pondered, then addressed the onlookers. Today was all a misunderstanding, just a joke with everyone. Su Liyun and I are pure as the driven snow. The crowd nearly spat in his face. Pfft. You think we'll believe whatever you say? You wasted half my day gawking at this drama. Just as I bit into the melon rind. You come out with just kidding? What the hell is this? Didn't Shutsai get water in his brain? And Peiyuan bellowed. I am the future prince consort. Slandering the prince consort is a capital offense. All of you, disperse. Stop spreading gossip here. The onlookers, rarely seeing such brazen audacity, were intimidated. They grumbled and shuffled away. Little did they know, this fool's act of bellowing his future status as prince consort in public was itself a crime, a grave offense against the royal family. Once the crowd dispersed, I signed the annulment papers and tossed them at Peiyuan. Shao, she pulled me. Still shaken. That scared me to death. Thank goodness you've come to your senses. Miss. Wang Shirero frowned, tugging at his sleeve. Cousin, you promised me as your main wife. Don't listen to Su Liyun. The princess's carriage procession came into view, the clatter of hooves growing louder. And Peiyuan grew anxious. Let's discuss this back at the estate. Wang Shirero wouldn't relent. And Peiyuan's darkened face betrayed his frustration. You're a mountain pheasant. She's a phoenix. What's so humiliating about being a concubine? Compared to the princess and the glory she brought. Wang Shirero, his once beloved, suddenly lost all significance. He couldn't even recall that just moments ago, this woman had willingly given up 100,000 taels of silver to protect his reputation. Wang Shirero's eyes flashed red as she glared at me. I smiled at her. It was all your own choice. And Peiyuan smoothed his robes and stood at the doorway, ready to greet the princess. But he forgot, he wasn't yet the top scholar. And this wasn't the imperial throne hall. He struck what he thought was a devilishly dashing pose, awaiting the princess's next fleeting glance. Little did he know, the princess did glance only to dismissively remark, that lowlife, preening and posturing over there. Get him out. And Peiyuan's face froze. I pinched my thigh to stifle my laughter. And Peiyuan whispered, you introduced me. The princess just hasn't recognized my worth yet. I didn't want to deal with him, but he kept nagging and threatening to expose my father's salt smuggling. I had no choice but to give in to his blackmail. I told him to wait outside and sent word to the princess's personal maid. But the maid retorted, a mere scholar wants to see the princess? Our princess doesn't meet just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Throw him out. And Peiyuan was visibly shaken, still unwilling to give up. He bent down to eavesdrop. From beneath the grapevine arbor came the princess's laughter, mingled with a man's voice. Who was inside? Well, besides that good-for-nothing vagabond Yuni, who couldn't write poetry or paint. Just a pretty face, who else could it be? Ampere Yuan suddenly felt rather superior. His eyes flashed with disdain. That kind of male fox spirit. Seducing you all to come crawling? I added fuel to the fire. The princess is only staying one night. She'll be leaving tomorrow. He won't have much time to charm her anyway. Ampere Yuan gritted his teeth, rushed forward, and knelt on the ground. Princess, you absolutely must not trust this Yuni. He's nothing but a pretty boy. The princess glanced at Yuni and smiled. Go on. Tell me all about it. And Peiyuan began spinning a tale, how Yun-Yi and I were secretly involved. How we'd been secretly meeting. He made it sound utterly convincing. Yun-Yi looked at me and smiled. I had no idea Miss Sue and I were so deeply in love. This pretty boy is nothing but a rotten cucumber. How could he possibly be worthy of a princess like you? The princess's almond-shaped eyes suddenly widened in fury. She slapped him across the face. And Peiyuan received several inexplicable slaps. His anger flared but was quickly suppressed. This servant only offered well-intentioned advice. Yet the princess is blinded by that pretty boy. The princess snapped harshly. How dare you? Who dares call my brother a pretty boy? A rotten cucumber? The crowd was stunned. Yun-Yi leisurely fanned himself with a bone fan, radiating an air of refined nobility. The princess's expression turned stern. The crown prince of this court, how dare you slander him? Yun-Yi is the crown prince? And Peiyuan's legs instantly went weak. Yun-Yi was the pseudonym of Crown Prince Zhou Yui, who had vanished among the common folk the year Peiyuan passed the imperial examination as top scholar. Naturally. And Peiyuan had never seen Yun-Yi. But I had. We met while I was on my way to pay respects at Xiaoshu's grave. He lay gravely wounded before me. Ragged clothes torn. His body riddled with blood-soaked holes. Yet he stubbornly held a dagger to my throat, demanding I save him. I won't. I showed not a shred of fear. You're not afraid of death? Why should I? A man already marked for death fears nothing. He studied me closely, pale and emaciated, coughing up clots of blood with every breath. He nearly cursed. Is this some contagious lung disease? I spat a mouthful of blood onto his hand and nodded. In the end, I couldn't tell if he was supporting me or I was supporting him. Exhausting our last ounce of strength, we collapsed in the wilderness, unable to move further. The sky was filled with dazzling stars, and the wind across the open field was crisp and refreshing. Perhaps because we were both dying, we spoke without restraint. He told me he was the crown prince, the future heir to the throne. In that treacherous imperial court, fathers and sons were not like true fathers and sons. Brothers were not like true brothers. For the throne, anything could be sacrificed. Any means justified. He had merely left the palace as a royal example to aid disaster relief, only to be betrayed by his own brother and pushed into the raging floodwaters. Fleeing relentless pursuit, his loyal guards were slaughtered within the palace walls, all with his father's tacit approval. As emperor, he had over 30 sons. Any could survive, the strongest would inherit the throne. During his years on the run, he dared not contact anyone, unsure who might be an enemy's confidant. How did you endure all these years? He chuckled softly, but didn't answer my question directly. After a long pause, he murmured, only by clutching fate in your own hands do you have a chance to make flowers bloom from your palms. But fate isn't something we can control. In the dead of night, several black-clad figures pointed swords at us. I thought he'd kick me out to block the blades. Instead, he gathered all his strength, clutched me, and rolled down the cliff. We ended up dangling from a withered tree. The black-clad men couldn't see us, believing we'd fallen to the cliff's base. A single withered tree couldn't bear the weight of two. I stared down at the pitch-black expanse below, like a man-eating beast. I stammered, "Either you jump. You are the future son of heaven. A son of heaven must love his people." He laughed. "I just saved your life. And now you ask me to die? How cruel you are. Don't blame me. Who in this world doesn't want to live? Everyone fears death." The withered branches groaned as if about to snap. Enough. Enough. He did save my life just now, and I wasn't destined to live long anyway. I glanced at the stars, closed my eyes, and leaped downward. I chose death's door, leaving him a door to life. I saw the astonishment in his eyes. Alas! In the end, Neither of us would survive. As I plummeted, several finely crafted arrows were aimed squarely at him. It must be said, his imperial brothers were no pushovers. They wouldn't simply assume you were dead if they couldn't find you. They would comb the mountains inch by inch, searching until they found either the person or the body. And the Yuni of today? He too had been reborn. This time, he chose to wait at the Sioux residence gates for an opportunity. His maternal uncle, the salt inspector, was his ticket back to the palace. And my father, a renowned salt merchant in the city, made the timing perfect. And Peiyuan probably never dreamed that the fair-faced youth was the crown prince. The princess and crown prince shared no rivalry for the throne. Born of the same mother, their bond was deep. She had come to escort the crown prince back to the palace. And Peiyuan's face drained of color as he stumbled out of my house, utterly disoriented. But as he turned, his gaze locked on me, dark and menacing, like a venom-filled snake. I frowned. Was he up to no good again? Then I'd have to speed things up. 3 days later, at midnight, by the eastern riverbank, a slender woman stood facing the wind, her face hidden beneath a bamboo hat and veil. She glanced warily around before handing me the ledger and items. I smiled. Success? She nodded while taking my stack of banknotes without hesitation. It took effort to find them in his study, no one's allowed in normally. But these days, he felt guilty toward me, so his guard wasn't as tight. Counting the notes, she continued. That old hag made me scrub her feet again. Complained the water was too cold. Then beat me senseless. So I tossed a handful of fire into the woodshed, let her warm up all over. The flames crackled and roared. Felt damn good. I gave her a thumbs up. You rock. Pointing to the prepared carriage nearby, I instructed her. Head out the east gate. Then north. The farther you go, the freer you'll be. Tuck the banknotes into your sleeves or sew them into your shoes, it's all up to you. Just remember, when traveling, never flaunt your wealth. A gentle breeze lifted her veil. Wang Shuero's eyes glistened. Su Liyun. Thank you. I patted her shoulder. You're welcome. You played that betrayal act so convincingly that day. I almost believed you'd really switched sides. Wang Shuero gave an embarrassed smile, then hesitated, as if she wanted to say more. Su Liyun, 10,000 taels is truly excessive. Why are you willing to give me so much? Why indeed? I asked. Wang Shuero, do you believe in past lives? Wang Shuero didn't. In a past life, Xiaoxi fell from the brothel's upper floor. The madam announced her death. If anyone wanted the body, they could take it back for burial. If not, it would be discarded at the random guard post. Naturally. And Peiyuan's mother wouldn't accept it. Throw it away. Throw it away, she said. Why bring back that unlucky thing for burial? It's a waste of silver. I was kept in the dark. It was Wang Shuero who used her private savings to secretly bury Xiaoxi. The 100,000 taels, aside from buying evidence of my father's salt smuggling, were meant to repay that sliver of kindness she showed Xiaoxi in her past life. Wang Shuero, go. Don't be confined to the backyard like a parasitic vine. The sky is vast. The sea is wide, fly freely. You needn't be a caged bird. I heard Peiyuan went mad with rage that night. The house burned down, and the person was gone. When driven to desperation, people inevitably lash out. Some ascend to heaven, others descend to hell. And Peiyuan chose the most crooked path. Leveraging memories from his past life, he began secretly selling exam questions. His scheme flourished. Aided by my covert push, I spread misleading rumors. He's the future prince consort. The imperial family will surely give their son-in-law preferential treatment. Why doubt it? He's the only scholar ever granted access to the princess at the Sioux residence. Do you think anyone can just see the princess? Got it? 10 years of grueling study. All for a single name on the golden list. Herd mentality, if you buy the questions. I'll buy them too. Everyone buys them. And Peiyuan sold for a staggering 50,000 taels of silver. He bought new properties, hired servants, and basked in sudden prosperity. He imagined entering the Golden Hall after the exams. Following the script of his past life, the princess would surely be captivated by his talent once more. But this time, his calculations were off. During the 3 days of the examination, the sky was as clear as washed blue. Yet Peiyuan emerged from the examination hall with a face as ashen as death. How could this be? In his previous life, this was the exact question. There was no mistake. No. It must be wrong somewhere. Before long, a crowd swarmed around him, beating him. Fraud. This isn't the question at all. Give me back my silver. I spent days obsessing over this problem, working myself into a frenzy, only to find it was the opposite question. Return the money within 3 days, or I'll break your legs. Double the amount, you must pay double. This time. And Peiyuan not only failed the exam himself, he also ended up drowning in debt. That day, and Peiyuan actually blocked my carriage, demanding silver from me. Refuse, and the plum blossom mark on your chest will be known throughout the city by tomorrow. And Peiyuan, truthfully, I don't care much about my reputation either. One lives but once, staying alive matters more than anything. So your threats are useless to me. A flicker of madness danced in his eyes. You're just like Wang Shuero, a thankless bitch. Once I find her, I'll have her bound, stuffed into a sack, beaten half to death, and tossed into a brothel. Su Liyun. Don't gloat either. I've already presented the incriminating evidence box to the Salt Commissioner. Your father can look forward to prison. This lifetime, without my protection, you'll still rot and stink in prison. I'll even ask the jailers to take good care of you. And Peiyuan's smile twisted into a hideous grimace, as if he'd finally gotten his revenge. With a sharp clatter, a brocade box was hurled at his feet. The incorruptible Salt Commissioner appeared as if sent from heaven. Beside him, perched atop a horse, sat the Crown Prince, fresh from his campaign in the northern frontier. The Salt Commissioner inquired, who presented the splendid box of incriminating evidence? And Peiyuan adjusted his hairband, a smirk playing on his lips. It was I, Your Honor. I humbly request your careful examination. How dare you present this for my examination? The elderly Salt Commissioner's face twisted with fury, his beard quivering with rage. And Peiyuan froze, then picked up the box and opened it. We were all stunned. Inside lay a book bearing 3 bold characters, the plum and the golden vase. For an upright old man like this Salt Commissioner, such a book was utterly beyond his comprehension. How could this be? And Peiyuan roared like a raging beast, his shouts echoing 10 streets away. His eyes burned with venom as he fixed them on me. It's you! You did this to me, didn't you? I waved my hands dismissively. Impossible. I always buy legitimate copies. Yours was clearly a pirated edition. Who asked you? A hand shot out, ready to strike. Before the blow landed, Yuni snapped the hand clean off. Guards! Knock him unconscious. Bind him. Stuff him into a burlap sack, and toss him into his own courtyard. Send his maid to inform his mother, the sack contains Wang Shuero. Yuni finished. Then winked at me. You're quite the player, Your Royal Highness. I cleared my throat. Isn't this a bit much? Xiao Shi panicked. Miss, please don't channel your inner saintly martyr. I curved my lips. Why the rush? I think stuffing his mouth with a stinky sock would be more effective. Everyone. That night, and Peiyuan's own maid revealed the sack contained Wang Shuero. Anne's mother, without a second thought, grabbed a thick wooden stick and attacked. Blow after blow landed hard on the burlap sack. "You worthless slut! What did you think you were doing scrubbing feet? Burning down my house? I'll beat you to death today. You lowly whore! You're not fit for my son. You should have been sold to a brothel. Today I'll break your legs. See if you can run then, Mrs." And deliberately targeted the lower body, striking the legs. As she beat, she cursed the woman's ancestors 18 generations back, hurling every vile insult imaginable. The figure inside the sack, its mouth gagged, emitted muffled sounds like the low growl of a wounded beast. Yunyi and I sat on the rooftop watching the spectacle. I murmured. What if she discovers it's her own son? Yunyi chuckled softly. Not her son. What do you mean? That hag only hits the legs. And Peiyuan's third leg should be ruined by now. I still remember Peiyuan telling me in that alley that day. My mother's old. Even if she hits you a few times, how much could it hurt? Right? How much could it hurt? Hurt you to death. You scumbag. Anne's mother grew tired from beating, panting like a bull. She opened the sack to check if the slut was dead. The maid tremblingly untied the burlap sack. Anne's mother nearly fainted, wailing like a ghost and cursing others madly. And Peiyuan would never become a top scholar now, but he could become a eunuch. His third leg, crippled by his own mother's hands, was truly reaping what he sowed. Consumed by grief, Anne's mother took her frustration out on the maid beside her, digging her fingernails into the girl's eyelids, ripping out her lashes. You bitch! Why didn't you untie it sooner? Did you deliberately try to kill my son? Unable to bear the excruciating pain, the maid shoved her away. Unbeknownst to them, the well beside them was uncovered. Anne's mother fell backward, tumbling into the pit. Fortunately, the water was shallow, barely reaching her knees, not enough to drown her. Fearing retribution, the maid rolled up her bedding and fled. The rest of the household servants had long since deserted when Peiyuan racked up insurmountable debts. Anne's mother was pulled out 5 days later. Her legs, soaked in well water, were now useless. Lying unattended in bed, she gradually became infested with maggots. And Peiyuan, currently serving time for his insolent claim of being a prince consort and his offense against the imperial family, was too preoccupied to care about his mother's fate. People sighed with pity. Anne's mother, who had loved soaking her feet in water all her life, ultimately met her end from soaking in well water. And Peiyuan could never have imagined this. When I took Yunyi in, I gave him 2 conditions. First, pardon my father. Second, alter the examination questions for this session. For the future emperor, this posed no difficulty. Yunyi, do you know why my family trafficked in salt? The court's strict control drove the price of a pound of coarse salt to 500 or 600 coins. Do you realize that 500 coins could buy 50 bushels of wheat, 300 liters of glutinous rice, or 80 eggs? Yunyi's expression grew solemn. The court's control. Long-term salt deprivation causes dizziness, swelling, and weakness. When I was young, our family was poor and couldn't afford enough salt. My mother, dizzy from lack of salt, fell into a ditch while working in the fields and passed away. My father loved my mother deeply. He later became a merchant. He understood perfectly well that smuggling salt was illegal, but he couldn't bear to see her suffer. He did what he could, secretly selling salt at rock-bottom prices a few times. That's how Peiyuan caught him red-handed. Yunyi paused. One day, I will reform the salt merchant system. But you must understand, absolute fairness does not exist in this world. A breeze swept by, carrying a hint of biting cold. After returning from the northern campaign, Father Emperor's health has deteriorated. He wishes to abdicate early. Oh, this lifetime. He's finally reclaimed what he desired. I teased him. Is it abdication for the sake of virtue? Or did you force his hand? His smile held hidden meaning. What difference does it make? Yuni had changed. An aura of royalty now shrouded him. Noble, cold, and unpredictable. The sunset dipped into the lake, its waters shimmering with iridescent hues. A rare tenderness graced Yunyi's face. Le Yun, would you come back to the palace with me? I looked into his eyes. Seriously? His sincerity was written across his face. Seriously. I smiled. No. A flicker of loneliness passed through Yunyi's beautiful eyes. Why? I lack the qualifications to be empress. I'm merely the daughter of a merchant. Nor do I wish to be one of your concubines. Whether empress or concubine, we'd be confined within those four walls, waiting daily for your favor, battling and competing with other women. Eventually, my beauty would fade, and you'd bring new colors into the palace. That's not the life I want. Yuni smiled. You do think clearly. He fell silent for a moment. Then what do you want? Not to be a bird in a cage. To soar freely. Lu Yun, will you always remember me? Perhaps I will. Perhaps I won't. Who can say? But Lu Yun, I will never forget you. Years later, it was said the emperor's throne remained vacant. It was also said he had taken in 2 new adopted daughters. One was Princess Sile, the other Princess Nianyun. At that time, I was beyond the pass with Shaoxi, eating grapes so green they seemed to drip with freshness, drinking fine wine from a nightlight cup, all while admiring the sunset over Hechang City. Each sunset heralded the arrival of a new day. I cherished my life now. No longer a caged bird. Free and joyful. The end.